Welcome to the Double shot, the Michael Bublé shot. That's right. We have a little play on double shots, aka Double, and that, of course, evolves into Michael Bublé. But he does not join us today. But welcome with your favourite cousins, James and Alex Fitzgerald. Cuzzy, I heard you had absolute kittens over the weekend over something. You had absolute kittens. Tell us more.
I did. Was doing a bit of work in the backyard, trying to tidy things up. And I heard this screeching in the backyard, almost like a chirping of birds. I thought, what is going on? Is there birds in the backyard there? Go into the tarp, because as you know, I'm building a pool at the moment, and there's some tarp sitting there covering a few things. Lift the tarp up, and lo and behold, there are 2 1-week-old kittens just sitting there staring up at me with little innocent eyes. Didn't really know what to do. We had to power through Google to figure out, what can you feed them? Can you do this? Can you do that? They need mother's milk, so I don't know where the mother is. Fortunately, though, Hannah and I were able to get them to an RSPCA. They've been looked after, and they were the cutest little things. I felt so bad for them. They were so scared.
Oh, I'm kind of sad, but I mean, that's kind of cute. Not what I thought when someone said you had kittens over the weekend.
Had kittens, yeah.
I thought James is pretty cool. He's pretty calm. He's pretty collected, but he's had kittens over something. Maybe something's really, really knocked him off and he's had kittens. But no, you literally found kittens in your backyard.
Correct.
Well, that's a bit cute.
It is a bit cute. Hey,
that is a bit fucking cute. Yeah.
Tell me about your morning. You've come in. You're here, there, everywhere. What's going on? You had a bit of a doozy to start the day, have you?
No, not at all. I just, unlike you, Cuzzy, I got to set up the studio down here in Melbourne every week. I got to set it up, then pack it down, But you've got producing it. It must be just the package of being a managing director, I suppose. But I am armed and also dangerous daily, obviously. But right now, with the fun fact for the week, because as I've said before, we need to introduce actual fun facts, not your version of fun facts, which are little tidbits from the Australian Financial Review. Sometimes they're fun, more often than not. They're just kind of interesting. You ready for this week's fun fact?
Fire away. I'm absolutely on the edge of my seat. Can't wait.
Yeah, I can tell. Now, this is an interesting one, and I'd like all men to listen to this one. Yes, I said it. Washing dishes can significantly lower your stress level. And if you do it mindfully, it can even more so. And that is actually according to a research done by Florida State University. So, blokes, if you're feeling a bit stressed, you've had a big day, that's the opportunity to do the dishes. It's the opportunity. It's not the reason why not.
Out of curiosity, how do you mindfully wash dishes as opposed to just washing dishes? Like, what's
Conspiracy 101.
Yeah, what's the difference between mindfully washing and just washing?
Look, the fun fact didn't get that far, but I would say, just living presently in the dishwashing moment. Just having a bit of Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off. Speaking
I thought
of,
it might have been. I was going to say I thought it might have been doing it with your eyes closed. But
as I was doing this wax on, wax off motion, the internet was broken this week, and if you're in pop culture, which evidently you have proved that you are not the last few weeks, as we did Uncut Gems. Anyway, Will Smith slapping the shiitake mushrooms out of Chris Rock broke the internet as he did it at the Oscars. 100%, because I know some people hate you saying 100%. That was staged. And it was good because that was elite shock factor. Did you see the clip?
I don't know that it was staged, was it?
100%. 100%.
I don't think so. I mean, he's come out and issued a formal apology today. Not a conspiracy.
Not a conspiracy.
I don't know. I don't know. It was. As I understand it, he took genuine issue with his wife's hair being teased. She's got some sort of condition where she loses hair, and he took it personally.
Now, I genuinely think it was staged.
Okay.
And the way that Chris Rock was smacked across the face, he recovered so quickly, and he kind of stepped into it. Clearly, I've spent many hours analysing this clip.
Well, I'm going to go off and research, and we'll know this time next week if it was staged or not.
Yeah, or we won't. But you know what? You log on to any news feed, BuzzFeed, news.com. Every second article is Will Smith, Chris Rock. So
I want you to talk about and look, I don't really want to go anywhere near the Will Smith thing because there seems to be a lot of people that have views right, wrong, and different about male rights, women rights. It's going everywhere. What I do want to talk about though is the massive win that you have had over the past week. Talk us through what it must have been like to get the phone call that you got last Thursday from your property manager on the property you've got in the Northern Gold Coast there.
I mean, what in God's incarnation is going on? It was actually an email, cuz, so I just sort of like brushed it off for a bit. I don't think I read it for a few hours after seeing it because you get an email from your property manager, you're like, it's probably just like an automated, like some of them just send out like a weekly update on what's happening, just generally in the market and whatnot. This one, it said, yada, 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 dear landlord, whatever. We are hereby suggesting a small increase to the rent that you are charging at this address. For full disclosure, it's in Ormo in Queensland. So northern Gold Coast there. A small increase up to the weekly value of $510 per week.
Okay.
I worked backwards and I'm thinking, I get $420 a week there at the moment.
Ooh.
That's a $90 increase.
Ooh.
And they have used the two words, small increase.
Just a 20% increase if you don't
I'm ready
mind.
to spend irresponsibly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to be spending bloody irresponsibly now. That's for sure. No, I'm not.
So talk us through. I want to talk through that because a lot of people, if they got that kind of advice, would be perhaps like you were thinking, do I pass on a 20% increase to the tenant or do I scale it back? What was your sort of thought process? What did you end up doing? Because 20% is huge. It's a tough one to swallow for the tenant. No doubt.
It's a really weird conflict that you have as a small business owner, right? And I treat my property portfolio like a business. Oh, I just cringed when I said that because it was so lame. But you do. You've got to treat it like a business, right? You've got costs, you got interest, you've got tax deductions, yada, yada, yada. My first instinct was, no, I'll just do $50 because then they're still under the market and they're not going to be absolutely whacked.
Mm.
But then I thought I could actually do some research and I hadn't done this in a while. So maybe, my couple of times a year portfolio review is not as comprehensive as it should be. Or the market has just moved so quickly that it's literally happened before my eyes and not even I was aware at how much it had shifted on a really local level. But I looked around and literally the average rent now is about $520, $530 a week, which from where I am charging my tenant now is about $110, $120 under the market.
Huge increase.
It's like, whoa. But you got to remember, I haven't seen anything since I bought that property in 2014. It's pretty much been the same. So it hasn't moved in a very long time. So yeah, now we're playing catch up. Long story short, I decided, I said to my agent, look, are you advising me to do the whole $90? And they said, yeah, that's where the market is right now. And if they choose to leave, we can have a discussion with them, but they're going to be paying that elsewhere and they're going to have to pay to move. It may not work for them.
Yeah, you're doing them a favor at $510 a week because you're probably saving them $500 in removal costs.
Yeah, I mean, look,
depending on how you do it.
To be honest with you, I don't feel like I'm doing them any favors, but that is where the market is,
Bit of a stretch.
and it is very conflicting. And look, I've said to the agent, yep, let's go back, let's do the full $90 a week increase. And I kind of called the agent. I said, look, if they freak out, if they panic, maybe we can have some kind of discussion around that and go from there. So that's where I've left it, cuz maybe I can update you sometime next week.
And that'd be good. Let me know where you get to. Give the listeners a bit of an insight as well. I want to ask a question before we get into the meat and bones of this podcast. The fun fact, is it something I can't do anymore, or can I also introduce a fun fact? Like what's the rules around
No. We
engagement?
don't, no rules, cuz. We make our own rules. This is our podcast.
'Cause
we make our own rules.
I found a fun fact. Nothing to do with washing dishes. It's actually something investment and property related. The fun fact was this. Domain did a analysis of every home that went to auction over the past 12 months.
Okay.
And what they looked at is what is the average price of a home that goes to auction midweek and on the weekend. And that's a home that actually sells at the auction.
Okay.
They found, Domain that is, found that you get a 10% premium if you auction your home on the weekend in Australia versus midweek.
I'm not surprised, but who is having sorry, my microphone just disconnected. Got a little bit too happy with my hands. We back? Okay, we're back. Who on earth is advising to have the tenant, bloody hell, I'm stuck in the tenant thing, to have their auction midweek?
Well,
not surprised.
It may come as a surprise, as it did to me, that if you're in Sydney, you get a 10% premium on a midweek auction. 10% premium on a midweek auction in Sydney. Yeah. Melbourne, only a 3% premium on the weekend over the midweek. Clearly indicative of the Sydney and Melbourne folk trying to keep their weekends for non-property related matters. Adelaide is the biggest difference between weekend and midweek. 18.6% premium if you went on the weekend. Sydney was the only place in Australia, capital city and region, where you get a premium midweek versus the weekend.
Wow.
Fun fact, I've redeemed myself.
It's a huge statistical reporting. I mean, is it a fun fact? I mean, that's fine. We'll let the people decide. But in Sydney, just to put this into numbers, during the week, you might average 1.96 million.
Yeah.
But on the weekend, 1.75 million.
Hey, only truth in numbers, as they say.
Does that mean that these Bondi folk are going for their swims during the week and that's giving them the sort of the better vibes than the weekend? Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe it's the increase in work from home. People are saying, hey, well, midweek auction, I can do that these days. Who knows?
James, I know that you love to put aside a whole Sunday afternoon when they release the rich list, not because you genuinely aspire to be a billionaire, although who doesn't? But you always love to look at the numbers, take out those that are in sort of the property and real estate sector, which is always a bit interesting, and I guess see where the major changes have been, looking on reflection of the last year and why those with the major changes or increases have seen such.
Well, it may surprise you to know that it came out Friday this time around. The Australian publishes the richest 250 Australians as far as publicly available information allows them. And it came out Friday. So I actually lost majority of my Friday morning this time around. It wasn't Sunday. Couldn't help myself. The little magazine that came out, I was trawling through. I love looking at the industries that they're in, reading some of the backstories, looking at the changes year on year. I think that's always a one that I know you have a big interest in as well, seeing which ones have had the most successful 12 months, and then breaking it down from there. Not a lot of change this year compared to last year. The top five, I believe, was unchanged. Gina Reinhart remains the richest person in Australia, followed by Twiggy Forrest, our man, and then the two guys, Anthony Pratt Veazey, the cardboard boxes, and then the two guys that founded Atlassian. Of the top 25, property was the number one industry with 10 of the top 25, followed by technology, 6, mining, 5, and then the rest investment, media, retailer of a few odds and sods here and there. So, look, the main takeaway from me was yet again 10 of the 25 is in property. So many people use property to build their wealth. and the real climbers were the technology guys. They're the ones who
Yeah.
are just jumping up the list.
I mean, no major surprise given that many of us were locked up in the last sort of 12, 24 months for some of us. So that technology sector and I guess, anything you can use inside or for working from home, huge increase.
Yeah.
The one that just gets so much airtime is Melanie Perkins, who began Canva. I'm a huge user of Canva, and daily it amazes me.
Yeah,
And
well,
I'm just proud that she's an Aussie.
they nearly doubled their wealth in the past 12 months, which is amazing given that they're collectively worth $31 billion between them. So it must be did they IPO during the year? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, God, I don't know.
They did a fundraising of some sort, but yeah,
No,
they
I
were
don't
the big
think they've
climbers.
IPO'd.
They came
They
in
did fundraise.
They came in at 8th and 9th, and if you combined their wealth, they would have been the second wealthiest Australians, just behind Gina Reinhardt.
And they are young. They are young and they are new money. So really
Young,
cool
new
stuff.
money.
Anyway, let's not spend too much time on that because let's get into the meat and bones, some numbers.
Yes.
Let's talk about international students, and then I'm going to segue over to you, Cuz, for the budget.
Yes.
Otherwise known as the budget. But if you did grow up in my era, budget, you get it. International students, 100,000 international student visa holders, Cuz, have arrived since mid-December. And that isn't according to just anyone. That's according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Many of you will say, that's not possible. But it is. In fact, really funny. We had someone on our Facebook arguing with the ABS statistics that we had reported on. It's like, prove something else to me. We're like, what? Well, they're probably the most reputable. Look at
so
me go.
glad you look after that and not me.
I don't really. Anyway, for perspective,
Whoa.
5,000 international student visa holders arrived in the 18 months prior. So that's 95,000 more from December. So what, 4 months ago? The Department of Education, however, I reckon that 27% of student visa holders are yet to return. So the gates are sort of like opened a little bit. We've got a nice little stream flow of students coming in, but we do actually have quite a lot more to come back. So bring it on.
Pretty impressive that 70, by the inverse, if there's 27% to go, then 73% have returned, which in the space of 3 months is pretty amazing. That
Yeah,
we've had,
absolutely.
Since mid-December to March, we've had 3 quarters, give or take, of international students come back. It'll be amazing to see if a similar trend occurs when they eventually open up the borders to workers on skilled visas.
Yeah.
Still very hard, although it's international migration is possible if you're a student. The pathway to migrate to Australia, if you're a visa holder and a skilled worker wanting to bring your family over, still quite hard. So it'd be interesting to see if a similar trend sort of occurs in that space over the next 6 months as that starts to happen as well.
And cuz how those students fill jobs that we had significant underemployment on, or people, a lot of hospitality looking for workers.
Engineers, teachers, and accountants are apparently the most in demand and lowest supplied of all professions in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Now, I've got to confess, I've made a boo-boo in the past week. I have I've gone a week early. I put aside a little section for the budget for this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was coming out last week, along with Warnie's Memorial. I've got my weeks mixed up. It is happening tonight. So I've got like an early glimpse of what's been leaked to the media, but that is all I've got for this podcast so far. But I'll talk to it anyway because I do think it's interesting in the context of the other things that we've discussed in recent months. Josh Frydenberg will be potentially delivering his last budget, as I have broken in previous podcasts. May 14 is the election. Reputable source. In any event, he will be forecasting tonight that unemployment will hit 3.75% by September. The last time we saw that was in the middle of the 1970s. Can you believe it?
My word.
Wow.
Nearly
My
50
word.
years ago. As a result, he is going to forecast and be basing his budget on the fact that we'll have a 10-year high of wage growth yet to occur yet. So don't send through your increases just yet to your employers.
Okay.
It will save $11 billion out of the costs that the budget normally has to factor in because we'll be saving on welfare. If there's only 3.75% unemployment rate, then more people are employed, meaning that we don't have to pay as much through JobSeeker and the welfare system. That'll save us $11 billion over the next couple of years.
Oh, my word.
Very good.
It is very, very good. Although that number is being speculated and contested because apparently there's 222,000 Australians who are getting no hours worked, but they are getting a payment from the government. It's just not called the job seeker. It's coming under the illness, injury, or sickness payment through the NDIS. So there's that's a whole different thing, but there is a little bit of suspicion around that $11 billion saving and whether it's just been moved to another line.
And Cuzzy, tell me, are the first home buyers going to, well, speculatively, benefit at all? Are we going to benefit more than we have been? There was some chit chat about perhaps those numbers being increased. We give out about 20,000
Yes.
incentives, if you will, per
Well,
year.
you're big on this, that 5% guarantee that the government offer buyers. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the mechanics of it, but I believe that they basically allow you to borrow 95% without paying mortgage insurance. Is that right?
No. You put in 5%, they put in 15%, and therefore you borrow the balance of 80% from
There you
a
go.
bank, and
There you
then there is no lender's mortgage insurance. So they're going to beef that up, do you think?
Yeah, they are. There's 20,000 that they've taken on in the last 12 months. They're going to more than double that. They're going to have 50,000 places available in the next 12 months, which will be awesome. Anything for first-time buyers is fantastic. As far as I know, though, and the devil will be in the detail, I don't think they're moving the needle on the price points. So I think the minimum price points will stay the same. I do wonder if that might be a bit of an issue. For example, you're capped at $700,000 in Melbourne to be buying your first home, which I don't know that's getting you as much as it was 12, 24 months ago.
Look, you're right. I agree with you. It's possible, absolutely, but you're getting a smaller block probably. And, if you do want a relatively nice house, it's hard to sort of gauge whether or not you're going to be able to get a fixed price build as a first home buyer and what that means for you to buy something well under, to be well under that $700,000. But it's amazing to me that they could speculatively be doubling it and some. So from 20,000 to 50,000 when we're already having a overwhelming response to home builder and the last 24 months of an incredible amount of new home sales and construction industry. I just, if this happens, those numbers are going to be wow.
It's a massive opportunity to only put in 5%. It's the biggest hurdle for most first-home buyers. I've got another fun fact for you, though. And I don't know why I didn't put this in at the start. I guess I probably had to paint a bit of context to it.
Is this the world's most fun fact podcast? Is this the funnest of facts
Look,
of all
if it's not, it'll be in the top 5. I guarantee you. In any event, I've had Big Dog do some secret numbers for me. I said, Big Dog, for those who don't know, he runs a mortgage broking business that we have. And I've asked him, I said, Big Dog, the rules are to be eligible for the 5% guarantee that the government offer, a single can have $125,000 income, or a couple can have a combined income of $200,000.
Yes.
I said, theoretically, if they were borrowing 95%, what would they be at as a maximum from a borrowing and a purchase point of view at those income thresholds?
Assuming that they're like clean as, no credit cards, no
Clean
like
as.
ugly personal debts.
Yeah, he's just assumed no kids. They spend whatever the sort of the threshold minimum is. $685,000 for a single, $1 million for a couple. Now in Sydney, you're capped at 800,000. In Melbourne, 700. In Queensland, 600. In WA, 500. And Adelaide and Tasmania, 500 as well. So the caps are nearly half for a couple in most of the places in Australia. The ones that are going to most need it, for example, Sydney, you're capped at 800,000. Whereas if you've got an combined income of 200,000, you technically could afford $1 million home, but you're not going to be eligible. You've got to go to an $800,000 property, and that to me is the sort of the issue. I guess they probably should reset the price points that are the minimum for eligibility in this little proposal.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first. James is calling a great reset for the low deposit scheme for first home buyers. Look, I'm sure when they do all of the numbers, they're lending 15% and that being their maximum. This is just where they land. And I'm sure that they're building in a little bit of a risk buffer for themselves, but they obviously see homes and construction and new home buyers as a relatively low risk.
The other big one, and no doubt there'll be more to come out of it, but the other big one that's been alluded to is they're allocating an extra $18 billion to infrastructure projects. So it'll be interesting to, if nothing else, look into next week where that money's going to go and where the opportunities may be from that $18 billion. That is a lot of money to throw at infrastructure.
Nice number, 18. Because we know you absolutely love to shop. You're a retail man. You love to shop for all things. Shirts, party shirts, of which you have many. I guess Converse shoes. I don't know. But you don't really, obviously. That was a joke. You're a simple man. In fact, I think you wear the same shirt every day. I think you've got a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Thursday shirt.
I'm not sure if that was a compliment or not, that I'm a simple man. But I'll take it as one.
Did I say that? I can't remember.
Off the record.
Any Hoodles, tell us more about retail. Is it changing?
Yes.
Or is it dead?
Well, as you know, we read a lot of reports so that the loyal listeners of our podcast don't have to. And
We read CoreLogic reports so you don't have to.
Bang on. And another one is we now read a report apparently by Gap Maps. They are a group research company that monitor retail openings. They've done this report over the last 12 months. Said 187 new retail stores were added in the 12 months last year. So there's 187 more retail stores today than there was 12 months ago, which does seem a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
What they've gone on to clarify, though, is that there's been much more than that in the community areas to more than offset some of the closings in and around CBDs. So we've seen sort of almost like the tree change effect in residential has flowed into retail as well, with a lot more openings in those sort of community areas, more than offsetting any closures through the CBDs, which to me is interesting. And I know that you had a little one here about, is it Mecca?
Not little at all.
Not little.
No. I was talking to one of my just general industry constituents.
In other words, you're having coffee with a mate.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And but he's become a mate. In any event, he works for CBRE, and their projects team are fitting out what will be a brand new Mecca. But it's not just any Mecca, cuz it is going to be, they're taking over the massive David Jones Men's, which is a whole department store, couple of floors on Burke Street in Melbourne CBD. Mecca are taking over the whole thing, and it's now going to become the biggest Mecca store in the Southern Hemisphere.
Wait a second. Isn't Mecca makeup?
Yeah.
How do they need that much space for makeup? Makeup's tiny.
It's something like 3,000 square meters. God, don't quote me on that. Sorry, Angelo, if you're listening. But it is absolutely
3,000
huge.
square meters for
No,
makeup.
it's huge. It's huge. Well, you wouldn't appreciate makeup, but Mecca have gone into this more like experience. So it's a whole experience. I think they've got like VR experiences in makeup. They have little training sections. They've got skincare as well. That, to me, is the biggest retail resurrection that I've heard of post-COVID. And further to what you were saying, it's in the city. It's in Melbourne CBD, the most lockdown city in the world, and Mecca are making their biggest play down here. And by the way, this is after their biggest store opening previously in Sydney. I believe it was last November. So now they're already out doing, but this won't launch until next year, 2023. But this is in play. Pretty sure it's not confidential. So
I don't doubt the demand for it. I mean, as I believe, is it Kylie Jenner or one of the Jenners has $1 billion business in makeup. So no doubt a huge industry. I just don't know what they do with 3,000 square meters. But there you go. It's an experience, place to go to get an experience. Virtual reality. Wow, that's actually going to be very interesting to see. I don't know how I'd ever manage to get my way into that store to check it out. I'd have to disguise it in some other way. But in any
I'll
event,
take you in when we go to buy Han a nice little Prezi, all right, mate? We don't have to talk about you buying makeup. It's okay. You don't have to expose yourself on the pod. It's all
with
good.
my cousin.
Anyway, guys,
dear.
that's pretty much it. That is the little tidbit for you, the retail resurrection, which is big news, huge news. You can probably Google it. But thanks for listening and dialing in this week. Of course, we're going to drop our quick shot sometime tomorrow. Pop us a little like on the old Instagram, even Facebook if you still use that. And that's pretty much all I've got for you. We have just disclosed far too many fun facts on this pod.
Ooh. Hey, thanks again, guys. Please recommend us to a friend. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Thanks for listening to another episode of The Double Shot with your favourite cousins, Alex and James Fitzgerald. If you've got a burning question or something we absolutely need to talk about on the pod, please write to us. Both of our emails are in the show notes. For little real estate tidbits and a little bit of banter, okay, a lot of banter, you can follow us on the gram. Our handle is thedoubleshot.podcast. That, my friends, is thedoubleshot.podcast. Until next time, think of us when you sit back and sip your next double shot.